So the same pattern that I used yesterday to make a 60% profit return buying call options at my key level ended up reappearing today. And we ended up capturing that same pattern that I taught you today at a new key level at 589 on SPY. And I bought these 590 SPY calls. I ended up making over an 80% profit return in less than 10 minutes. Uncle Tio, Heaton Win, Forbes 30 under 30, ended up buying SPX calls towards the same time I was in SPY calls, and his calls went up over 500% in less than 10 minutes trading. G-Roar ended up going 2 for 2 on the morning trading session with a very nice quick win on puts and then switching to calls. Those calls went up over 500%. As a whole, as a collective, we absolutely crushed it. I'm going to be breaking down the trades that we ended up making today as a team. With that being said, first things first, we're going to get straight into the money-making information. I'm going to be providing to you the new game plan on SPY. So in terms of the overall game plan that I'm seeing based off the daily chart, the main focus is going to be to buy call options. I do have some levels for put options if we do end up hitting the overbought levels. I'm going to show some interest in potentially buying puts, but we're going to need a strong bearish 30-minute confirmation. So first things first, let's start off with the daily chart pattern, right? So in terms of the daily chart pattern, this is one of the patterns that I'm seeing. As you can see, the SPY gaps down, we have this red bearish candlestick. The SPY gaps down, we have this red bearish daily candlestick. Then we have this green daily candlestick in the middle. Then we have this green daily candlestick in the middle. Then we have this big green daily candlestick in the middle. Then we have this big green daily candlestick in the middle. So if we are opening up flat or even gapping down, this is what I want you to understand. The make or break resistance level where the SPY can potentially drop, but if you try puts at this level, make sure you're using strong bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, because based off of what I'm seeing on this over daily chart, it's going to try to close in the middle green or very bullish based off of all the patterns I'm seeing. So if you're trying puts, especially at the lower levels, use strong bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations. But like I said, man, instead of trying to catch this overall top, the main focus is going to be buying call options. So again, this is if we are opening up flat towards the previous closing price or gapping down. We can potentially see a pullback towards the previous day highs. So we can potentially see a pullback towards this overall gap at 591 for a potential short-term gap reversal. With that being said, if we're opening up flat or gapping down, the focus is going to be to buy call options on those dips. In terms of the overall dip, this is going to be the level, and I came up with this level by measuring the move on the daily chart, along with just understanding breakout and retest. We had a breakout on some key resistance right here on the SPY at 587. Once the SPY broke above this pre-market level, it never really dropped back down to the 587. It ended up bottoming at higher support at that previous closing price. So in terms of the best zone I have for call options, if we're opening up flat or gapping down, it's going to be 586 to 587. But the main level is going to be 587. Use the bullish 30-minute candlestick patterns. Use the trend reversal 30-minute candlestick patterns that I've been teaching you in between that zone. If we are opening up flat or gapping down, that's going to be the play to buy calls in between that zone of 586 to 587, previous resistance to react to support. SPY had a nice break above this pre-market level at 587. Once it broke above this overall zone between like 580, 570 to 587, it really just started to trend up. And then it really started to pull back towards that overall previous closing price. So the point is, it had a nice breakout, and technically, in a sense, it hasn't really retested that previous resistance zone. So it's going to try to bounce first along with that bullish potential daily chart pattern foundation, right? Now, keep in mind, if we are opening up flat or if we are gapping down, the previous day highs in this gap, there's a gap right here at 591, could potentially react as a resistance. So if you're seeing strong bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, you could potentially look to play puts there. Now, if the SPY is gapping up, is likely going to be a gap and go. So if we are opening up higher than 590.30, it's likely going to be a gap and go. And in that situation, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on call options towards the potential higher resistance levels. So if the SPY is gapping up, we're breaking above key resistance levels, wait for it to drop back down towards those previous higher levels that have not been tested. Once they're retested for the first time, use the 30-minute candlestick patterns that I've been teaching you to confirm that those key levels are going to work for the continued uptrend for a new potential breakout, right? So that'd be the game plan in terms of the gap and go. based off of what I'm seeing on the overall daily chart pattern. Now, in terms of those levels, if we are gapping up, so just to show you in terms of what I'm looking at, we have this big green candlestick in the middle right here, and it gaps up, and it's a very strong gap and go, right? So this is what I want you to be aware of. If we are gapping up, these are going to be levels that I want you to focus on. So the first level, so we closed at 590.30. You can keep an eye on previous closing price and slightly under that, right? So that'd be one of the higher levels, the previous closing price, and slightly under that would be 589.60. That's the first zone. 589.60 to the previous closing price. 590.30 is the first zone for calls if we're gapping up. Now, the higher levels is going to be the following. Slightly above the previous day highs, which is what we're going to call 591.30 to 591.60. That's the next resistance zone. We break above that, drop back down, reacts bullish. The SPY will be on track to close this gap, which is a level of interest to buy put options at 593.35 for a potential gap close reversal. The SPY is a gap that's waiting to fill above there, right? That's the overall game plan that I have for you heading into tomorrow. Use those levels. You should do a phenomenal job trading if you've been confirming the levels with the strategies that I've been teaching you. Now, let's get into the life-changing education. So, in terms of the overall trades, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down my trades first, man. Let's get into it, man. So, this was the trade that I ended up making on the day. I did not trade a lot on the day. Once I entered this trade, I realized there was not going to be a better opportunity on the overall day in terms of the best setup at the best price with the education that I provide to you. So I chose to just stop because I recognized there was not going to be a better setup and I didn't feel the need to trade. When you are trading this good at this level, it really puts things into perspective that there's really no need to keep on going and lower your standards when you just entered a trade at such high standards that had such a massive percentage overall gain. So with that being said, if you watched last night's video, you should have been in on this trade with me because on this channel, I actually teach you how to become self-sufficient so you can trade on your own and make money on your own, right? So there's no excuse to be red. Losing is a personal choice. If you use my levels, if you use the strategies that I teach you, you should have been green today. You have to be disciplined. You have to use the levels and you have to have your third eye open and you have to show up and capture this in real time. So I'm going to be breaking down the trade for you, man. This pattern has repeated 3 days in a row now, and it's all at key critical levels, right? So I'm going to break this down to you, man. Let's get straight into it. So this was the trade that I ended up making on the day. I'm going to break this down to you. Great minds think alike. Shortly after I got in calls, Uncle Tio ended up buying SPX calls. My SPY calls went up like 200% plus within like 10 minutes. Uncle Tio's SPX calls ended up going nearly triple that. They went up over 500%, man. You're always going to make more on SPX in a sense, man, especially on the calls that he bought. They were extremely cheap. But let's get into this, man. I'm going to break this down for you. So at 1:19 p.m., I ended up buying SPY 590 calls at 35 cents contract. Like 10 minutes later, these went to 120 cents a contract. They went up over 250% plus at the speed of fucking light. We crushed it. So in terms of why calls at 1:19 p.m., I'm going to break this down to you. It has to do with yesterday's pattern. And this was the same pattern that we used to buy calls towards the exact lows yesterday to make a quick 60% return in 5 singular minutes, man. And I made it very, very clear in last night's video. The pattern is going to continue to show up. I spoke it into existence. I manifested it. And shortly enough, here we are again, capturing it in real time. This is what we do. We capture trends in real time. We use the 10-day, 30-minute chart to study the patterns. And then we use the overall daily chart to study the patterns as well. We use the overall price action to determine the overall key levels. So let's get into this, man. Take a look at this pattern. As you can see, this is yesterday's chart. And this is the pre-market. You have a green candlestick, right? And this is today. You have a green candlestick. And then you have a red candlestick. Then you have a red candlestick. Then you have a green candlestick. So that's a green, red, green pattern. That is a very bullish pattern, especially if we are at support. Were we at support? Well, yesterday, that pattern formed at the previous closing price, and then the SPY started to skyrocket, right? So if you're seeing a floor that is forming above the previous closing price, that's very, very bullish, right? So you have the green, red, green pattern. You have the green, red, green pattern. That's a bullish pattern within itself. But the crazy part is we had another bullish pattern. This was the ultimate stack, man. I'm literally giving you multiple cards within my deck that we're using to consistently make money within the stock market, man. So that's the first piece of the deck. We have the key level, previous closing price, right? We're all well aware if the previous closing price at 588 reacts as support, the next resistance level is going to be towards 589.60 to 591 zone, right? So that's where it can potentially head to if it reacts as support. Then, this was the pattern I taught you in last night's video. We have the candlestick facing to the downside. We have the candlestick facing to the upside. Next 30 minutes is going to be strong and bullish by the dips on the opening of the 30-minute candle, right? And then you can see right here, we have a candlestick facing to the downside. Excuse me, this is what I was talking about. So we have the green, red, green, with the green, red, green, and then you're going to see right here, we have a candlestick facing to the downside. It's not the same color, but that doesn't matter. It still works. Candlestick facing to the downside, candlestick facing to the downside, candlestick facing to the upside, candlestick facing to the upside. Next 30 minutes is strong and bullish. That was at 1:30 p.m. I was buying call options right here as this was getting ready to close because I noticed it's going to close either red or fucking green, but either way, it's going to look just like it did right here. So I'm going to get in a little bit earlier because I don't want to potentially miss out on this overall play, and then I could just add into it. That's why I decided to get in on calls in that situation, and then we added towards the opening of this 30-minute candlestick, right? And surely enough, that pattern repeated itself, man. Look at it. It's the same exact pattern, facing to the downside, facing to the downside, facing to the upside, facing to the upside, strong green and bullish, strong green and bullish. Do you understand? There was a pattern that formed yesterday at the previous closing price, and it was fucking identical, man. Like, how are you guys missing this stuff? Everyone should have been in on calls here, man. I show you exactly how I read the market with my third eye. I can assure you this curriculum that I'm teaching you, this is how I see the market. This is what I've created. And I do this with the 30-minute chart, man. Just look at it. Just compare the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and you're going to see this is literally identical. And it's going to keep on happening. All you have to do is wait for these patterns to form at the levels, man. You know, this pattern might not form tomorrow, but it's likely going to form a week or two from now. And you just keep on trading these patterns at the key levels, man. You be disciplined, you be self-sufficient, you compound the account, and you're going to get results. So with this system that I'm teaching you, it's about trading less, right? You're going to trade less, and the time, and the win rate, and the big percentage gains, and the compound account is going to do all the work for you. So you're going to be trading a lot less, man. Look at this confirmation. We're talking about a 90-minute bullish pattern at the previous closing price, green, red, green, and then a 1-hour trend reversal pattern facing to the downside, facing to the upside at the previous closing price. That means that we are holding literally 150 minutes above that previous closing price with a bullish pattern and a trend reversal pattern. Next 30 minutes, it skyrockets. The same exact pattern formed today. Who do you know of is teaching you how to trade like this, man? Do you understand? I have multimillionaires who are working for me, who are using my curriculum, consistently making money with an overall market, man. Uncle Tio, Keaton Win, Forbes 30 under 30. He absolutely fucking crushed it. Great minds think alike, man. He ended up making multiple 100% profit returns on those SPX calls, man. So that's why we did calls, man. It's literally a choice. Losing and going red is a personal choice. If you use my education and you apply it to the fucking levels, right? Previous closing price is always the key level, 588. If it reacts to support, the next level is 589.60. If it breaks above that, reacts to support, which it did, you can see right here. Look at the overall chart. What is the chart saying? We're forming higher support. Look at this. Higher support above the previous closing price, above the previous 30-minute resistance level, right? This resistance is now support with that bullish trend reversal pattern that I literally showed you yesterday, that I showed you on November 11th, man. You have to capture this in real time. I'm giving you the keys. I'm giving you the money-making information, man. Look at this. The next level on the fucking chart is right here. If you disable extended hours trading, you're going to see if we break above that 589.60 level, and another reason why I was bullish is because it was forming higher support. It was literally turning this previous resistance into support, right? So if you look at the overall chart, the next resistance level is going to be right here at 591.40. That's how you measure the overall move, right? So this was a phenomenal trade, man. This was one of those trades where in terms of educational purposes, we had everything within our favor. We had the previous closing price, we had the higher support, we had the green, red, green candle, we had the facing to the downside, facing to the upside candle, man. all of those cards stacked at a key level, how the fuck are you going to go red, man? Do you understand? This is the best setup at the best price, man. This is my curriculum. This is my material, man. You use this stuff, you can change your life, man. You can put your friends onto this. You can put your family onto this. So I'm showing you exactly how I do it, man. So I took that trade at 1:19 p.m. And you're going to see, man, I'm even teaching in the chat, man. Literally in the chat, I said the same pattern that formed at yesterday's previous closing price for a massive move to the upside is now forming again at today's previous closing price. We are on pace for 590.40. You understand everything it is I'm saying within all these videos, all these fucking lines, all this fucking everything highlighted? I'm doing this as I'm fucking trading. This is all 100% in real fucking time. I'm showing them the exact pattern I'm seeing. Here it is highlighted in fucking purple. Green, red, green at the previous closing price. Green, red, green at the previous closing price. Bullish pattern. Break above resistance. Higher support, break above resistance, facing to the downside, facing to the upside, facing to the downside, facing to the upside. Next 30 minutes, green and bullish, we're riding fucking calls, man. I literally said the pattern is there 2 minutes before that 30-minute candlestick closed like this. So, of course, history repeated to an exact fucking T, man. I'm putting you onto the fucking game. Nobody's teaching you this because I'm the one who fucking created it. Now, with that being said, we absolutely crushed it, man. This was a phenomenal trade. I ended up adding at 33 cents a contract. They quickly went to 120 cents a contract. I ended up selling at 52 cents a contract. And then when I pointed that out, man, Uncle Tio, and he also saw this potential play on before I did, man. Like I said, great minds think alike. I took the SPY calls. They went from 30 cents to 120 cents very, very quickly. And then he took the SPX calls. You can see right here. So Keaton Winforbes, 30 under 30. He ended up buying SPX, 5915 calls at 235 a contract. He bought these at 235 a contract right here at 1:35 p.m., man. Look at this. Look at the results of our trades, man. Who the fuck do you know is printing like us at the speed of light, man? Do you understand? Nobody is trading at this level of trading. We're the greatest to ever fucking do it, man. The only people I've ever seen trade like this are G-Roar and Uncle Tio Keaton Win. That's it, man. So I'm going to break this down to you, man. So in terms of this overall trade, look at this, man. This is when he got in puts. This is when he alerted it in real time. Right here, 1:35 p.m. at 235 a contract. 10 minutes later, contracts are going from 230 a contract, $2.30, all the way to 1,000 a contract. Who do you know is putting you in the best setups at the best prices and teaching you exactly how it's done? I already told you, man. I have multimillionaires who are using my curriculum to consistently make money. Losing and going red is a personal fucking choice. A 500% return in the middle of the day in 10 single minutes. You hit 500%? That means if you're losing 50% on your trades, you can still be green with 9 losses in a row. Highest risk to reward ratio. Do you understand? We fucked up the whole game. We fucking came in here and disrupted the whole fucking market. Nobody is trading on this level of trading. We've mastered the hardest style, the hardest level of fucking trading, man. So, anyways, man, that was a phenomenal trade on SPX. And then in terms of my SPY calls, you're going to see right here, this is when I got in my SPY calls at 1:19 p.m., literally towards the lows. This is where I added right here, literally towards the lows. It's funny, I added 1 minute before he got in on the SPX calls. But like I said earlier in the day, he literally called it out. He said, I'm eyeing these calls. It's gonna fucking bank. And then we both got in at very similar times. So anyways, man, you could see I'm literally in right here in the 30-cent mark. And then this is where I exited. I exited in the 52-cent range. And they quickly went up to 127 cents a contract, man. When SPX calls are that cheap, they're always going to go up more in a particular sense, right? So that was the plays of the day. I made it very, very clear within the chat based off of the educational stack that we had with the measured move and the time of the situation. There was not going to be a better potential setup on the day. So me personally, after that, I called it. I literally told everyone, man, this is free fucking money. As soon as I fucking said that, I said that at 1:39 p.m. As soon as I said this is free money, and I said that at the opening of this candlestick, it fucking spiked from 35 cents to 60 cents. We're outperforming everyone you know in the quickest period of times, man. We've mastered this skill set to an exact T. So with that being said, we absolutely crushed it. That was the trade of the day. You could have made the same exact trade if you applied what I taught you in yesterday's video. So there is no excuse to be red. If you're not disciplined, don't fucking trade. If you don't want to implement the education that I'm teaching to you, then good fucking luck, man, because this works. We have multimillionaires in the chat using it, calling out plays in real fucking time, man. G-War's a multimillionaire. Uncle Tio Keaton Win Forbes 30 under 30 is a multimillionaire, man. I'm telling you, we are crushing it every single day within the overall chat. So that was the main play. I ended up selling at 52 cents a contract. I made it very clear there's not going to be a better play, and I'm calling it for the overall day. And that was a free money fucking play, man. So we absolutely crush it. In terms of, G-Roar, he fucking killed it as well. You could see right here, man. The best part about Team Roar is, man, the morning trades, they tend to be fucking amazing where you can literally just walk away within the first 30 minutes, man. So in terms of the morning trade, you're going to see right here, we absolutely crush it, man. 582 SPY puts at 59 cents a contract at 9:50 a.m. We go to 582 puts. I'm going to walk you through this. This is where we got in towards the low of this candle. They quickly went from 50 cents all the way to 90 cents. That's nearly a 100% profit return in 2 singular minutes, making the trade a phenomenal fucking win, right? So sometimes the trades are literally going to play out within 2 minutes. Other times they're going to play out within 30 minutes to hours, right? Every trade is different. Then we bought 588 SPY calls for 47 cents a contract at 10:29 a.m., right? So as soon as that 30-minute candlestick closed, we ended up buying 588 SPY calls for 47 cents. So on this particular trade, as you can see, we're putting people in the best trades you can possibly make within the market. And you're going to see right here, we ended up buying these SPY call options right here. This is where we got in, 10:29 a.m. And this is where we ended up exiting that overall trade right here in the 90-cent range. And those contracts went all the way to 300 a contract, right? It's always very wise, especially on the morning trades, to leave some runners because on an overall bullish trend day for calls, they can go up 500% to 3,000% plus. On an overall bearish day for puts, they can go up multiple 100% to 3,000% plus, right? So on the morning trades, it's very, very wise to leave some runners. Now, with that being said, those were the trades that we ended up making on the day. We absolutely crushed it. So for those of you who are serious about making money, it's the first link below. It's the first link down below within the description if you would like to join us and trade within our secured private organization. You gain access to our real-time trade alerts. You gain access to our zero-date options trade alert system. We trade zero-date options, and in terms of the system, very, very simple. We don't use stop losses. The contracts are so cheap, so low risk. You can put in your entire position size as your max risk per trade. You can let them expire worthless. The most you lose is your max risk per trade, which could be a couple % of your account, right? With that being said, we're known for adding to winners, not to losers. We quickly add to winners, 5, 10, 20%, small wins for us. When we win, we tend to win big. When we're up and we get a winning confirmation, it makes sense to add. And with that being said, we set profit stops. We set profit stops to ensure that we don't go green to red on trades, and we move the profit stops up higher to ensure that we don't get back the bulk of our gains if the market has a move against us, right? So if the market has a move against us, and as long as we're moving our profit stops up higher, we're going to get stopped out for the bulk of the overall profits instead of giving back the vast majority of the profits, right? So those are some things that we do different. And in terms of zero-date options, we've optimized for the best overall trading asset that you can possibly trade in terms of real money. It's a huge advantage to take a trade that's very low risk. That gives you the biggest percentage gains. That gives you the highest risk to reward ratio where you don't even need a high win rate. Like I said, every single month, we have 3 trades where we make at least over 1,000% gains, right? So if you're making 1,000% gain on a trade and you're sizing in accordingly, that means you can experience 9 losses in a row and still be up 100% on all those trades combined, right? So the win rate doesn't matter, but we do have the highest win rate in the game doing this because we are the best at our overall crafts. For those of you who are serious about experiencing it, I'm telling you, it's very cutting edge. Options give you options. Far the money options give you the most options. And one of the reasons why is when you buy a far the money option contract, you have the entire day for those contracts to go in the money. So if the trade goes against you for the short term, it can quickly drop 20, 30, 40, 50%. May have not gotten the best entry, but it can come back to life later into the day and we're not getting stopped out. Sometimes we'll sell the move and cut the loss when we're down 30 to 50%. Other times when we're down that much, when we decide to hold the dead play that is down 30 to 50%, 70% of the time, it tends to come back to life if you hold the trade and you could sell it in the money for overall profits, right? So with that being said, if you are serious about surrounding yourself with a secure private organization who's mastered zero-date option trading, who has 2 multimillionaires in the chat alerting all their trades in real time, it's going to be the first link down below within the description. The beauty of this channel is we teach you how to become self-sufficient. We give you the key levels to trade at. We give you the strategies to use the overall levels at. Making losing a personal choice. For those of you who want to see us do it in real time, it's the first link down below within the description in terms of getting access to our real-time trade alerts, right? We share every single trade that we're making in real time. By seeing our trades, you'll be able to learn how to trade and pick up and see in terms of what we're seeing, right? You can also use our trades as a confirmation and confluence if you like. If you'd like to confirm your overall trade with our trade, matches up, aligns, you can also follow the overall trades. You also gain access to our amazing community within the overall chat. So it's going to be the first link down below within the description. For those of you who are serious about trading alongside with us, I will see you within the chat tomorrow.